Some people walk into a room and instantly read everything. The tension between two people who just argued, the forced smile that doesn't reach someone's eyes, the silence that says more than words. They're not psychic. They're not antisocial. They're just wired differently. If you've ever been told you think too much, or you've spent a party standing in a corner, analyzing the room instead of joining the small talk. This video is about people like you. By the end, you'll understand exactly why your mind works this way and why it's not a flaw. It's a different kind of intelligence that the world rarely explains properly. We're taught that overthinking is a problem to fix. But psychologists studying cognitive processing sensitivity, a trait found in roughly 25%到30% of people, describe it differently. These individuals don't think too much. They process information more deeply than average. Every conversation, every glance, every subtle shift in tone gets run through an internal filter most people don't have. This isn't a disorder. It's closer to having a higher resolution camera in a world full of low-resolution cameras. You catch details others miss entirely, but that also means your brain never fully switches off. A simple comment from a coworker can replay in your mind for hours. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is still processing layers of meaning that most people never even noticed existed. The cost of this depth is exhaustion. The benefit is insight. And most deep thinkers spend years not realizing this trade-off is actually a strength, because nobody ever explained it to them this way. Ask a deep thinker how their day was, and you'll often get a short, almost defensive answer, not because they're rude, but because small talk asks them to operate on the surface, and their brain isn't built for the surface. It's built to go deep or not go at all. Neurologically, this connects to how the brain allocates attention. Surface-level exchanges require constant context switching. New topic, new person, new social script every few minutes. For someone whose mind naturally locks onto one thread and follows it deeply, this rapid switching feels draining, almost like static on a radio. This is why deep thinkers often prefer one meaningful 2-hour conversation over an hour of mingling with 20 people. It's not social anxiety. It's a mismatch between how their attention naturally works and how casual social environments are structured. Once you understand this, situations that used to feel like personal failure, awkward silence at a party, running out of things to say in small talk, start to make a lot more sense. Here's the part most people never admit. Being this perceptive can be lonely. When you notice things others don't, the subtext in a text message, the tension underneath a friend group's laughter, you often can't share it. Because pointing it out sounds paranoid or overly analytical to people who aren't tuned into the same frequency. So deep thinkers learn to filter themselves. They stop saying what they notice. They nod along in conversations while quietly holding a completely different read on the situation. Over time, this creates a strange kind of loneliness, not because they lack people around them, but because they rarely feel fully understood by the people who are there. This is also why deep thinkers often form incredibly strong bonds with the rare few people who do operate on their wavelength. When that connection happens, it doesn't feel like friendship. It feels like relief, like finally being able to speak your actual language after years of translating. Let's break down 6 specific signs that you're a deep processor, not just an overthinker, but someone whose brain is genuinely wired for depth. 1. You replay conversations, but not out of anxiety. You're actually still extracting meaning from them, noticing details you missed the first time. 2. You get exhausted in groups faster than you expect to, not because you dislike people, but because your brain is simultaneously reading 6 conversations, 3 tones of voice, and the underlying mood of the room. 3. You form opinions slowly, but they rarely change once formed. You need time to process before you commit to a view, but once you do, it's built on genuine reasoning, not impulse. 4. You notice inconsistencies almost instantly. When someone's words and body language don't match, you feel it before you can even explain why. 5. You need silence to recharge, not distraction. While others scroll their phones to relax, your brain actually needs quiet, unstimulated space to reset. 6. You often feel too much or too intense for casual environments. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your natural depth doesn't fit into shallow interactions. And that's not a flaw in you. It's a mismatch with the environment. If 4 or more of these sound like you, you're not broken and you're not alone. You're simply operating with a different cognitive default, one the modern, fast-paced social world wasn't really designed around. The goal isn't to become less deep. It's to stop wasting energy pretending to be shallow when you're not built for it. Here's how deep thinkers turn this trait into an advantage instead of a burden. First, protect your recovery time. If group settings drain you, don't schedule 5 social events in 1 week and wonder why you feel depleted. Build recharge time into your schedule, the same way you'd schedule sleep. Second, seek fewer, deeper relationships instead of a wide social circle. You don't need 20 friends. You need 2 or 3 people who can actually meet you at the level you operate on. Third, stop apologizing for needing time to respond. In work and relationships, deep thinkers often feel pressured to answer instantly. Give yourself permission to say, "Let me think about that," instead of forcing a rushed answer that doesn't reflect your actual insight. And finally, recognize that your perceptiveness is a form of intelligence the world doesn't always reward immediately, but almost always rewards eventually. The people who notice what others miss are usually the ones who make the best decisions, the most loyal friends, and the most insightful leaders, precisely because they see beneath the surface. If you've spent years feeling like you think too much, feel too much, or notice too much, understand this. You were never the problem. You were just built for depth in a world that often only rewards speed. The quiet mind isn't a weakness waiting to be fixed. It's a different kind of strength waiting to be understood. If this described you, let me know in the comments which sign hit hardest and subscribe. Because next week, we're going deeper into the psychology of the people who see what everyone else misses.